Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be invited to speak here. This is actually all these companies are companies that I follow very closely. It's great to be in a panel with them. It's interesting that this is a session about open data because I'm never satisfied with just open data. When I think about opening up data, it opens up a can of worms. I think about communities, I think about user experience, I think about the policies that shape open data. It's very complex. It's never just data. So, my name is Eddie. I was a Code for America Fellow last year. Code for America is a national nonprofit that puts technologists and urban planners inside city halls across the country to think about how they can use their skills and their technology and their knowledge and technology to improve city processes. And we worked in New Orleans, and we had a very successful project, which I'll talk about a little bit more. But because it's complex, I also divide my work into three major parts. One of them is community, the other one is government, and the other one is business. From the community side, I co-founded a local civic technology group with Steven Spiker, who's actually here in the audience. He's a local hero in Oakland. It's called Open Oakland. And this is a group that meets at City Hall once a week, every week. And it's about 30 people or so, about 10 or so consistently, 20 or so who come in and out depending on whether they have time. And we're essentially the de facto innovation hub in Oakland. We meet at City Hall, so we're accessible to city staff, to community members. And that's the wonderful thing. Because it is consistent, if you miss a day, you can always come back next week. We've had a few really interesting projects, actually. Let me switch to, this is the Open Oakland website. We've had a few very successful projects. One of them actually was launching a data portal, CCAN, which is a community-run data portal where we bring in not just where we don't publish only city data, but we publish data by local nonprofits who have access to a lot of important information. Actually, Steven Spiker's organization, Urban Strategies Council, does a lot of serious work, and they publish their data on sorry, one second. On our data portal. We also work closely with the city. So the city, so we hook in with Socrata and use their data as well. But there's another project that sort of emerged unexpectedly, and this was an open budget project. The city was about to go through a budgeting process, and they realized that not a lot of people knew exactly what was going on or what the numbers meant or what any of these numbers meant. So this group of about 6 or so started meeting with the mayor's office and started thinking about ways in which they can visualize the budget. What is the impact if you change certain numbers? It was incredible because it was very successful. It was announced at a city council meeting where it was discussed. Local press picked it up, and a lot of people were discussing Oakland's budget. And actually, one of the big successes I thought was when I was sitting in a cafe and I heard these two young men. I think they were talking about film or I don't remember exactly what, pop culture, and they transitioned into talking about Oakland's budget. It was incredible. I was eavesdropping the entire time and trying to see how much they picked up, but it was a small moment, but it meant a lot to me that this was if you present information in a way that people can digest and understand. More people will understand and will be able to give better insight into what their opinions are. They can develop their own opinions. So that's Open Oakland. I'm not satisfied with just thinking about what we do in the outside, but what is the impact on the inside? So I actually serve on the Oakland Public Ethics Commission, and we oversee the Sunshine Ordinance and public campaign financing and make policy recommendations, generally about open government issues. And just a few years ago, this commission was completely diminished. It didn't have an executive director. It was completely unfunded. But just in the last few years, there has been an interest in these kinds of issues. And it's been very interesting that this is an institution that essentially has been around for about 15, 20 years or so. And they were tasked to essentially deal with issues of open government, but they didn't know it yet. So when Open Oakland came around and they saw that there was this energy regarding, suddenly you had people interested in these kinds of issues, the Public Ethics Commission felt empowered and organized an event at City Hall where Tim O'Reilly came to speak and other thought leaders in the space. And we had a full house. We had, I don't remember exactly how many, Spike will probably remember, but it was a full house. And we had people asking and interested in open government. It was again, an amazing, something amazing to see, but also it showed that if you explain the issues, that these issues are complex, but you can bring in people into the process. And suddenly we've had people from Open Oakland join commissions or and be more and more involved with City Hall right now. And this has actually had an impact internally. There are policies now that are being shaped and discussed. There's an audit going on about all the city data that the city holds, and they want to publish this on their data portal so that more and more people can understand what the city is doing. But there's another component to this, which I think is the theme here, which is about business. And what does this mean in regards to the kinds of businesses that emerge out of open data and these open data policies? So, like I said before, our project in New Orleans actually had to deal with publishing information about properties and the state of the homes. New Orleans obviously has a serious issue with blight, and I think the city only knew about 15,000 homes. The Postmaster General knew about 50,000 homes that they couldn't deliver mail to. So there was a big gap of information of who knew about what and how homes were shifting over time. And the amazing thing about New Orleans is that plants grow so quickly, you can pull down a house in just a matter of a few years. So houses would literally fall onto the street, and it was a real danger. So when, as fellows, we asked questions. We were figuring out who has access to information about these homes and what's the city doing. And we interviewed everyone from the mayor to city staff to community groups that were buying homes and remodeling them. There was a tremendous amount of energy, but the thing that we heard was that there just wasn't, the data was not available. They had to do their own surveys to figure out exactly what was going on. And all we had to do was present the information in a way that was easy to understand. So instead of just publishing data on the data portal or just, we thought, well, let's structure this information in a way, back to Open Oakland and the budget, let's structure this information in a way in which is meaningful to these groups. And the result has been amazing. After we launched, we have hundreds of people getting notifications about the work that the city is doing. At the launch, there was someone from the community who, while they were presenting the project, asked, "Hey, what's going on in this location?" And she pointed to the map and was trying to figure out what was going on in one very specific location. And the deputy mayor afterwards came up to me and said, "You know, that's never happened before. Generally, there's such a misunderstanding of what the city is doing and how they're working together that a specific question like that, just that gesture of being able to ask, what is going on right here, was tremendous. The deputy mayor could answer this question. And it reset the conversation in New Orleans, where now there is a much more collaborative relationship between the groups that are working on the issues of blight in New Orleans and City Hall. It's being used, right? It's currently being used, and we saw this as a potential business opportunity, actually, as was mentioned before, because we didn't want this project to just be launched and next thing you know, we find jobs selling ads at Google. We didn't want to just drop this and say, well, we've done our part, we should be satisfied. We were reached out by dozens of cities across the country who had a very similar issue, and we thought, how do we make this viable? How can we continue working on these issues? And we recently received funding from the Knight Foundation to continue doing this work. But what do all these projects have in common? I mean, I think that, like I said in the beginning, making data available to the public is not enough. Just publishing information is not enough. You have to understand who is using this data, how do they plan on using it, and structure information in the way that it can have the biggest impact. And that's something that I have, because of Civic Insights and this project that we've just launched, I've been able to continue asking these questions and figuring out what is the way in which data can have a real impact on people's lives that can help shape the way that the city grows and the way in which city officials collaborate with the community. So thank you for having me. I guess we'll join the panel now.